washabihi ajmain. Hari ini saya diminta sama Pak Adi, seksi sibuk kita. Alhamdulillah hari ini beliau sedang terbang ke Indonesia. Barusan saya cek belum ada jawaban, berarti masih terbang. Menitip ke saya untuk kita lanjutkan kelas sirah kita, yang saya rangkumkan sendiri langsung dari beberapa buku. Saya buat ada beberapa snippet atau saya lupa lagi bahasa Indonesia snippet itu
Snip.
cuplikan. Jadi cuplikan beberapa kisah perjalanan Nabi kita Nabi Muhammad SAW, yang
Waalaikumsalam.
saya ambil dari kisah sirah. Kemudian kita ambil beberapa hal. Memang idenya sebenarnya ingin menimbulkan rasa cinta lah sebenarnya, atau rasa sayang, atau rasa keterdekatan kita gitu. Nah, kalau mungkin teman-teman masih ingat kemarin tuh ada Piala Dunia kemarin itu, subhanallah itu kan saya sendiri dulu juga sempat jadi penggemar sepeda penggemar Piala Dunia lah kan. Zaman dulu itu Brazil, Bebeto, kan Roberto. Kemudian Roberto Carlos, apa tuh, wah hafal semua namanya. Fasih saya nama-namanya itu semua kan. Saya ingat tuh pertama kali saya nonton tuh tahun 78. Waktu itu Maradona masih belum, baru baru berapa tahun umurnya. Jadi, mungkin Maradona itu baru 82 nanti kan, baru dia di Spanyol 82 itu yang, kemudian 82, kemudian 86, tahun 78 itu Mario Kempes, ingat banget saya itu. Dan 82 dan seterusnya. Itu memang kecintaan tuh luar biasa sama sepak bola itu. Karena kita terikat secara emosional, bangun jam 2 pagi, bangun jam 3 pagi, ikhlas kan, hanya untuk jatuh cinta sama pemain-pemain bola yang hidupnya nendangin bola. Kalau kita ini sedikit lah berrefleksi sedikit. Kalau melihat angka uh, angka Pak Imam tahu nggak berapa gajinya ini, gajinya Cristiano
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo ya.
Berapa triliun tuh setahun ya?
Pokoknya udah fantastis lah angkanya kan.
Iya.
Terus apa sih sebenarnya yang dia lakukan gitu? Dia punya kepiawaian dalam mengolah bola. Bola ini kan
Bola.
bola-bola ini kan ujungnya kan sebenarnya entertainment. Dan entertainment itu kalau menurut hukum, masih ingat Mas Hasan hukumnya Maslow? Masih ingat nggak? Jangan Google loh.
Cek dulu ini.
Masih ingat nggak?
Bentar, coba cek di catatan.
Piramidanya Maslow. Maslow. Abraham Maslow. Pak Imam tahu Abraham Maslow?
Teori Maslow itu.
Ya, tahu nggak?
Hmm,
Tingkat
Eh,
kebutuhan manusia.
iya, apa pertama misalkan untuk
Ya, sandang
dapat
papan pangan.
dapat uang gitu kan,
Pertama ya kebutuhan
tujuan
makan,
ya.
ya kan. Jadi kebutuhan makan. Yang kedua kan itu kebutuhan fisik. Yang kedua baru kebutuhan pendidikan dan seterusnya gitu kan.
Mm-mm.
Hiburan itu udah kebutuhan yang paling belakangan itu paling. Jadi dia nggak tidak esensi dalam hidup manusia. Manusia itu kalau kalau misalnya kita mungkin alhamdulillah sudah punya penghasilan gitu ya. Itu kalau misalnya orang ngasih uang sama kita 100 Hongkong dolar, dilemparin ke kita nggak mau ngambil harga diri kita dia. Jadi kita sudah punya kebutuhan aktualisasi diri. Jadi kebutuhan dihargai kita tuh lebih tinggi daripada kebutuhan kita terhadap makanan, gitu. Karena kita sudah punya uang. Tapi kalau orang yang miskin dan melarat misalnya, dia nggak dapat dan dia susah makan, uang 100 dolar itu penting banget buat dia untuk makan. Lemparan 100 dolar itu ke pinggir jalan, dia ambil itu. Jadi harga diri dia bisa dia korbankan karena kepentingan untuk makan. Itulah levelnya kebutuhan manusia itu. Jadi kebutuhan manusia itu yang paling penting itu adalah kebutuhan itu tadi, kebutuhan makan dan minum, kemudian papan, pangan, dan seterusnya. Kebutuhan entertainment itu adalah kebutuhan tersier atau mungkin kebutuhan yang keempat. Nah, kalau kita mau adil, di dunia ini adil, orang-orang yang penghasilannya paling besar di dunia itu harusnya orang-orang seperti guru, yang mengajar, seperti orang yang pergi ke pelosok-pelosok membantu orang miskin. Orangnya seperti itu kan harusnya ya. Tapi kan dunia ini kan nggak adil. Dunia ini justru orang yang memenuhi kebutuhan tersier, yang orang paling kaya gitu. Penyanyi kaya banget gitu kan. petinju. Petinju itu bukan olahraga. Siapa yang bilang itu olahraga? Itu entertainment, itu showbiz. Ya. Dan jatuh cinta terhadap orang-orang di level tersier ini sangat gampang. Jatuh cinta ke artis gampang. Jatuh cinta ke selebritis gampang. Buka handphone yang kita lihat selebriti dulu. Gitu. Jatuh cinta gampang buat mereka. Tapi jatuh cinta ke orang yang nantinya selebritas akhirat itu yang sulit. Jatuh cinta kepada Nabi Muhammad SAW itu sulit karena butuh effort, butuh kenal. Kita nggak lihat orangnya, kita nggak tahu idenya. Dan salah satu yang dilestarikan Allah adalah kisah-kisahnya. Dan Allah lestarikan kisah-kisahnya lewat lewat sirah, lewat hadis, supaya kita bisa jatuh cinta pada Nabi Muhammad SAW. Jadi itu sebenarnya kenapa saya ya share screen udah saya share belum ya?
Belum,
Belum
Pak,
ternyata.
belum.
Udah, terlalu semangat saya ini. Lupa.
Emang nggak di record?
Sudah, sudah,
Udah
sudah
direkod
live
ya?
nih, live.
Udah live ya.
Ya.
Live from Hong Kong. Jadi apa? Serial Love Muhammad SAW ini saya buat sejak Juni 2021 dan saya terus tambahin gitu sampai mudah-mudahan dari awal beliau SAW lahir sampai nanti meninggal.
Hmm.
Nah, kemarin di kelas ini di halakah ini kita sudah sampai ke 12. Saya punya catatannya sampai ke 12. Jadi insya Allah malam ini kita coba membahas 13, 14, 15 tergantung. Kalau 13 kemudian matanya masih semangat, kita jalanin terus ke 14. Makanya saya pindah snippet-snippet 5 menit, 5 menit. 5 menit saya cek matanya udah, oh masih sanggup, saya pindah ke 14. 14, 5 menit saya lihat matanya udah ini, udah berhenti. Gitu. Biasanya gitu. Jadi disesuaikan. Baik, 13, rahmah untuk semua. Apa maksudnya rahmah untuk, ini ketukar-tukar kok ini ya, apa, jadi padang rumput yang subur dan hijau. Suatu kalau kita lihat misalnya ke siapa yang terakhir pernah ke puncak nggak? Oh di sini ini di mana yang ekuivalen dengan puncak di Hong Kong ini? Siapa yang pernah hiking di Dragon Back? Mas Hasan pernah hiking di Dragon Back nggak? Nah boleh coba tuh hiking di Dragon Back, bagus tuh. Lihat laut tapi juga lihat kehijau-hijauan itu. Dan kalau kita lihat padang rumput yang hijau dan sinar itu ya, pasti sesuatu yang indah itu pasti karena ada komposisi yang teratur, ada komposisi yang balance, ya, yang seimbang. Makanya sesuatu yang indah itu pernah ada komposisinya. Dan Allah menyebut kata-kata komposisi yang teratur itu disebut mizan. Mizan itu neraca kan. Kalau di surat Ar-Rahman itu kan ada kata-kata mizan. Allah tataqau fil mizan wa aqimu wasna bil qisti wala tuksiru mizan ya kan. Kemudian ada beberapa ayat selalu Allah tuh selalu komposisinya itu diatur sama Allah. Jadi itu yang disebut dengan mizan. Jadi dia balance. Sesuatu yang balance itu pasti bentuknya akan bagus, ya subur, hijau dan seterusnya. Kalau dalam bentuk tanam-tanaman ya dia subur, buah-buahannya segar. Jadi sesuatu yang subur, buah-buahannya segar, buah-buahannya ini mata memandangnya enak gitu. Kalau kita pergi ke buah-buahan aja ya, itu dari aroma buah-buahan itu mungkin itu yang nggak bisa kita ceritakan hanya lewat mata, memang harus hadir gitu. Jadi kalau saya nggak tahu di mana terakhir yang ini. Kalau di Hong Kong ini, dulu kita pernah jalan ya. Mungkin Mas Andri masih ingat ya. Kita pernah ke Taman Stroberi. Mas Andri ikut waktu itu. Ikut,
Ikut,
ya kan?
ikut, Pak. Iya.
Nah, kita boleh juga tuh saya sekali ngadain itu juga tuh, Pak Imam.
Hmm.
Bapak-bapak pengajian kita sekali makan ke Stroberi lihat ini. Jadi apa istilahnya tausiah alam,
Tapakur alam.
tadabur alam, ya ya tadabur alam. Boleh juga tuh, mumpung udah COVID is right behind us now kan, is already behind us gitu kan. Jadi sesuatu yang komposisi teratur pasti butuh perawatan, butuh pemeliharaan, butuh komposisi yang balance antara sinar matahari, angin, hujan dan seterusnya. Nah, begitu juga dengan anak-anak. Jadi anak-anak kita yang dititipkan Allah kepada kita tuh dia juga butuh sesuatu komposisi yang teratur, pemeliharaan dan perawatan, butuh lapisan demi layer of layer of layer of love. Dan ada beberapa gerakan, teman saya dulu pernah cerita, ada gerakan apa namanya Islamic parenting, belajar dari Rasulullah bagaimana cara Islamic parenting itu, bentuk ajaran Rasulullah itu seperti apa sih gitu. Makanya tokoh seperti Ali bin Abi Thalib itu, Abi Thalib itu kan beda usia dengan Rasulullah kan 30 tahun lebih itu ya. Bagaimana seorang Ali bin Abi Thalib itu ketika malam itu Rasulullah hendak hijrah. Sebelum hijrah itu Rasulullah titip gitu, tolong kamu jaga di sini, nanti barang-barang titipan orang-orang yang ingin membunuh Rasulullah itu salah satunya orang-orang yang nitipin barang ke Rasulullah, itu nggak masuk akal sebenarnya kan. They trust you but they want to kill you. Itu yang orang kalau sudah benci itu ya luar biasa gitu kan. Jadi dia mau membunuh Rasulullah tapi dia nitip barang ke Rasulullah. Jadi Ali itu disuruh kembaliin barang-barang titipan dan kemudian disuruh tidur di tempatnya, dan di mana malam itu semua anak muda setiap perwakilan dari sub-tribe atau sub-sukunya Bani Quraisy itu mengirim utusan untuk membunuh Rasulullah. Nah, bagaimana seorang seperti Ali bin Abi Thalib siap, kamu tolong tidur di kamar saya, malam ini saya mau dibunuh orang, ya kan? Apa? Imagine, how can you imagine what kind of love that Rasulullah give to Ali bin Abi Thalib sehingga Ali bin Abi Thalib siap mati gitu, atau siap dengar perintah Rasulullah sami'na wa atau apa yang dibuat. Itu yang cara mendidik itu yang kita harus pelajari, luar biasa sebenarnya bentuk ajaran Nabi Rasulullah SAW, terutama dalam yang dikenal sebagai Islamic parenting. Kemudian ada banyak tokoh-tokoh, Zaid bin Harithah misalnya. Zaid bin Harithah ketika dia itu diambil paksa kan, kemudian dia dijual di pasar budak di Makkah, kemudian dibeli oleh Khadijah radhiyallahu anha, kemudian diberikan kepada Rasulullah SAW. Berapa tahun kemudian orang tuanya Zaid bin Harithah itu mendengar anaknya, mereka datang bawa uang, bawa pamannya, kemudian waktu itu Rasulullah belum jadi nabi, ya Muhammad, berapa kamu mau ini, saya beli itu anak, saya beli kembali. Zaid bin Harithah, no, I will stay here with him. What kind of love gitu ya, sampai orang bisa untuk membuang orang tua sendiri untuk tinggal bersama Rasulullah. Itu yang, jadi to show love itu yang luar biasa dari Rasulullah SAW. Jadi salah kalau ada orang bilang, oh anak tuh harus didik, harus keras, harus disiplin, harus dipukul, harus di ini. I'm sorry to say, I don't know what kind of psychology, child psychology or teenager psychology you learn, but it's not aligned to what Rasulullah SAW teach us gitu kan. Berbeda dengan ajaran Rasulullah. Jadi insya Allah kita sebagai Muslim, two sources of knowledge, dua bahan ilmu pengetahuan. Yang pertama adalah knowledge of human, atau reasoning, kemudian intelektual. Yang kedua adalah dalil nakli, sesuatu yang Allah reveal dalam Quran dan termasuk di dalamnya hikmah atau sunnah itu. Jadi sunnah Nabi adalah bagi kita source of information. Jadi bukan hanya buku-buku sains sebagai source of information, psychology, science, dan seterusnya, tapi juga scripture atau Al-Quran dan Sunnah itu adalah source of knowledge buat kita. Jadi cara mendidik anak itu seperti apa, Rasulullah menjadi sumbernya. Makanya Rasulullah itu, bentar. Jadi Rasulullah SAW, bagaimana Rasulullah SAW misalnya memperlakukan bayi gitu. Jadi ketika Rasulullah punya anak yang bernama Ibrahim bin Muhammad, ini apa namanya, anak Rasulullah SAW dari istrinya yang bernama Maria kan, Maria Kibtidayah itu. Oh, we have Ivan on the call. How are you, Ivan? Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Good.
All right. Okay. Today we're gonna talk about the story of the Prophet. In Arabic, it's called Sirah or Sirah. Is actually the biography of the Prophet.
Okay.
Okay. From time to time, I will switch it to English. You're welcome to ask and interrupt anytime.
Okay.
Okay. But by the way, if I make it in English, you guys okay, right? Mas Alve,
Okay.
you okay with English, right?
Okay, sir.
All right. Okay. Mas Hasan, you're okay with English, right? Mas Andri, you're okay with Arabic, right?
We need Pak Bambang to translate that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Let's switch it to English, right? So Okay, so what happened was Rasulullah SAW just was gifted by is gifted to have a baby, which is from the latest wife, right? His name is Ibrahim. Rasulullah call him Ibrahim. And then one of the challenges of being the prophet, prophet is the most tested individual on earth. All the prophets, including our Prophet Muhammad SAW, yang paling sering dicoba dan paling sering diuji oleh Allah. One of the biggest tests, the biggest test of human being is when you lose a child 5 years or younger. Ya, jadi kalau meninggalnya anak di umur 5 tahun itu biasanya itu the biggest test of human being. I heard many cases where someone left Islam or left their whatever their left their religion because of this test. It's a huge test. It's very hard for someone to lose. This is one of the biggest calamity, losing a child. So Rasulullah SAW was he lost his child. He just buried his own child, his own son. I think he's less than 2 years old, and Rasulullah was crying, right? And he was crying. Hold on one second. I need to close the door. Sorry. Salam. So Rasulullah was. This is the biggest test for Rasulullah. The child that he expected to have a son, because he had 2 sons before and they all passed away as well. So one of the biggest tests of human being is being, especially the son as well, right? At the time when people really value sons and other than compared to daughters and so on. So when he lost this third one, Rasulullah was crying and crying, and one of the companions was asking, "Ya Rasulullah, you crying?" And then just because you're a prophet, you're not a human, right? Now you're a prophet, you also as well as human. Jadi menangis gitu. And Rasulullah responded, "This is love," right? Ketika air mata, when the tear drops, the hearts hurt, right? But you cannot say anything other than what pleasing to Allah. This is very beautiful. Why is it very beautiful? Because as a human being, we are all tested. We feel angry, we feel sad, we feel hurt, we feel mad, we feel all this negative feeling, right? As a human being, we will test that, we will feel that, right? As a human being. However, what Allah wants us, what is how we express all of this negative feeling. That's what Islam is all about, right? Semua orang pasti akan marah, semua orang pasti akan sedih, semua orang pasti akan kecewa, semua orang pasti akan menangis. And that's human. But how you express your sorrow, how you express your anger, this what makes you Muslim. Ya. Jadi walaupun sakitnya, sedihnya anak meninggal, walaupun sampai menangis, Abu Bakar radhiyallahu anhu even heard Rasulullah crying like a kettle, like kayak termos, kayak bukan termos untuk merebus air tuh
Kettle.
ya kettle ini guys, what's in Indonesian saya kok lupa.
Termo.
Bukan
Ceret,
namanya
ceret.
ya, ceret.
Ceret.
Ya.
Oh, ceret.
Ceret itu kalau lagi boil gitu kan. So this is how Rasulullah SAW cry, almost like a blowing kettle. This is, you can imagine, it is very, very sad. So much so that the companions ask, you cry, Rasulullah? You cry, right? Right? And this is where Rasulullah said, yes, I cry, I feel sad, my tears drop, but whatever you say from your mouth, only what pleasing Allah. So that means you can cry, you can feel sad, but as a human being, you can get angry, but once you start throwing things around and all the gelas melayang, pintu ditendang, that's not Islam. Islam is you get angry, but what coming out from your body, what coming out from your mouth, only what pleasing Allah. Right. So that is the one of the biggest story that we can capture from the sadness of Rasulullah SAW. So it's just sadness being sadness, but how we can learn from his life, right? And it is common, like so many stories about Rasulullah SAW when he play with his own grandchildren, he play horses. There was one time that he was praying, dia sedang sujud. I think Umamah, the one of the grandchildren by the name of Umamah. Umamah bin anaknya dari Zainab, itu Zainab sama Abu Al-As. Itu Umamah tuh playing when he was praying, and then Umamah sitting on his back, on his neck. And Rasulullah SAW continue making sujud until this son, actually anaknya ini, grandson ini turun. So this is the love of Rasulullah SAW, right? Rasulullah SAW was giving a lecture in khutbah Jumat, and then one of his grandchildren, Hussein, came in and he got tripped, kemudian jatuh. Rasulullah stopped the khutbah and picked this baby up with her. So this is the love of Rasulullah SAW. When you show love to children, they feel it, because it is part of the innate of human being. When someone show love to you, when someone show care to you, you tend to love that person back. Right? So this is something that we can definitely learn from the Prophet. Just because, especially bapak-bapak itu, is very hard to show love to their children. Yeah, I'm talking about my observation as being a father, as being a son, right? And also from my relative and extended family. Normally, bapak is very hard to show love. Yeah, but it's not the Prophet. Right? The Prophet SAW is when he shows love, people are willing to sacrifice for him. Right? There's also I put this sentence, but I cannot remember. I have a note on this, so I need to find what is exactly what I meant by this. Let me find out my note on that. Everyone who was lucky enough to be around the Prophet, they can feel the love of Rasulullah SAW. They can see how Rasulullah interacted with his grandchildren. How they can see how Rasulullah interacted with his own daughter Fatimah. When Rasulullah, for example, is sitting down, and then Fatimah came in, Rasulullah came, dia cium tangannya Fatimah, atau dia kecup ini Fatimah, kemudian sit next to her. It show the love and sort of respect, gitu ya, the way Rasulullah adore Fatimah and so on. This is commonly known, like everyone can see and witness that, right? And even the Khadim of Rasulullah, the pembantunya Rasulullah, Anas bin Malik stayed with the Prophet for 10 years, right? So from very young age, and it is very common. There's stories about him. It's very common. He stayed with the Prophet for 10 years, and he said, I never know anything Rasulullah raise his hand or even try to correct you. So Rasulullah never correct him. Anas, kenapa kok belum dikerjain? Anas, kenapa kok seperti ini? No, Rasulullah will never do that. Right. So again, this is sort of excessive love. It's something that we need to learn nowadays with the advanced science of psychology and everything, how to discipline and whatnot, and then mix with the tradition as well. While we have our own source of knowledge, which is our Prophet Muhammad. So that's why the word Ashhadu Anna Muhammad Rasulullah is not a simple thing. It's really not a simple thing. It is something that you commit to become, to mimic, or to follow, or to copy our Prophet SAW. Certain things that, why all these stories being captured, why the story of Anas bin Malik being with the Rasulullah for 10 years, and how he told the story of the Prophet is with the show love. After years after Rasulullah passed away, Anas bin Malik, when he told the stories about the Prophet, he can see the love. His face is beaming, telling the stories of why all this story until 1500s from now. I can relate this story to you all. This story is just like, it's timeless, right? It's gonna be people until Kiamat, until the day of until the end of this world. This story will be repeated again, and Allah preserve this story for us, right? So yes, we have our own source of knowledge in terms of how to raise kids and children and whatnot, right? and Anas bin Malik continues saying, if I would do anything Rasulullah will never question me. Why you do this or why wouldn't you do this? Right? Nggak pernah ditanya kenapa dilakukan atau kenapa tidak dilakukan. That's our Prophet. Right? This is the parenting style of the Prophet. Because what Rasulullah wants is to spread the love that someone love him so much that's willing to sacrifice. That's why during the battle, ketika dalam perang itu, these kids willing to sacrifice, willing to take the arrow for him. That is love, right? That is love. If you and look at nowadays, right? Look at our children nowadays, right? If you leave the house, they're happy, right? So if you house ayah pulang, they're all like kucing basah, they're ketakutan. This is complete opposite of our Prophet, right? And then if the Prophet asks him to do something, Rasulullah let him go. I mean, Rasulullah will always make him, Rasulullah will respect them and so on, right? And then he even says, never I feel something soft as silk more than the hand of Rasulullah SAW, right? And again, whether this is really physically or this is really actual experience or this is something because out of love, right? I never feel something as soft as silk more than the hand of the Prophet, right? And who is this? Anas bin Malik is not even related to him. Right? Anas bin Malik. Ada yang tahu nggak Anas bin Malik anak siapa?
Anaknya
Mas
Malik.
Hasan? Anaknya
Anaknya
Malik.
Malik.
Ibunya terkenal itu namanya Sulaim. Ya, itu terkenal ya ibunya. Anyway, and then he continued to say, no smell, no fragrance as good as the sweat of the Prophet, right? This can be true, right? Because he's a prophet, he has a certain when someone as noble as a prophet, they keep the heart sincere. They stay away from something that is bad, not even talking bad about someone and so on. They have special features, right? They smell good and so on and so forth. That must be the case as well. But again, it can be because out of love, right? To be around the Prophet is something that they really, really, they really, really enjoy. There's a hadith saying, someone who cannot show love, then Allah will not show love to them, right? So what is this rahmah for all? This is about how Rasulullah spread love, how Rasulullah show love to people around them, how people get affected by love, right? So this is love will conquer all, right? I don't know whether Lionel Richie 20 years ago or whatever 30 years ago said there's old songs, love will conquer all. And what is love again? Love is the pleasure of giving, right? So you need to write this down somewhere, right, guys? Especially Bapak. Love is a pleasure of giving. So love is not, oh, I miss you, I have not seen you. That's not love. That's lust. Itu namanya nafsu. Lama nak ketemu. Love is the pleasure of giving. Right? And this is one of the beautiful things. I don't know whether you follow this, like people in psychology, when you feel distress and stuff like that, they say, why don't you donate money, give people to the poor, give this and that. It's actually when you give, right, this way, you feel a sense of relief, sense of happiness, sense of, and this is a fitrah, right? This is innate to us. When you give to people and make people happy, you're actually happy yourself as well. And this is something that you can train. You can train at a very young age, right? When you're happy because you serve people, that is love. Yeah, love is the pleasure of giving. So Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. All right. So I just want a quick note. This is mentioned by Urwah, right? I have gone to the Tsar, to the Caesars, to the Kisra. Caesars is the king of the Byzantine, and Kisra is the king of the Persian, right? And Najasi. I've never seen someone who are very loyal to their leader, like the followers of Muhammad SAW, right? So this guy, Urwah bin Mas'ud, has been traveling all across the world and see a lot of kings and so on and so forth. But he never sees someone when they being loyal to someone, right? Other than like more loyal than the follower of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, because they're attracting to him by love. If you compare to other kings, they are attracted to you. They're not really attracted to their fear, more also fear, more also you have money and everything because oh, perhaps if I get close to this king, I will get some money. Perhaps I'll get some power power, because of the fame, because of the money. People follow that. But Prophet Muhammad SAW, because of love, they feel this out of love. All right. So we just finished number 13. Let me check your eyes. You're still following, right? Wah, enak juga yang makan ya. Mas Abe, ada ini komentar? Hah? Ada komentar? Mas Abe?
Oke, Pak.
Enggak ada? Mas Hasan, ada komentar? Oke. Mas Ivan? See, I call you Mas Ivan now.
No, no,
No?
no.
Sure, you don't want to ask anything? Everyone will. One of the thing is, right, in my class, everyone will have to ask. Oh, I will ask them. All right. Okay. So let's have that tradition now. If you don't ask, I ask you. Okay. All right. So let's go 14. Let's see. 14 bijaksana or wisdom. So what is this about? This is about the best generation. The companions of the Prophet are the best generation. They're the closest to the teacher. Of course, they become the best student because they're close to the teacher. Jadi one of the trait, salah satu ciri ya, salah satu bentuk, salah satu experience adalah when the companions, when they see Rasulullah ask them to do something, when Rasulullah asks them to do something, they sometimes don't understand what exactly Rasulullah wanted for them, but they would do it anyway, right? So this is what we call submission, right? What is submission actually? Now, there's sometimes people, why you have to submit like this? Why you have to submit to the Prophet like this, right? Now, one of the things that you need to remember this, right? When Allah asks us to do something, two things you need to remember. Number one, that whatever Allah asks us to do, it must be good for us. That's number one. This is part of our belief. Number two, when Allah asks us to do something, Allah has provided us facility to do that. Apa artinya? Artinya ketika Allah menyuruh kita berbuat sesuatu, sama dengan kalau kita di kantor, kemudian kantor kita kasih kerjaan sama kita, kemudian kantor itu kasih komputer buat kita untuk membantu kerja. So that's what Allah do to us as well. When Allah asks us to do something, Allah actually create a facility for us to do this, right? We will talk about that. I will give you that explanation later on, right? That's what I mean. That we have, Allah give this tendency to follow something. For example, this is an example. Mana Pak Bambang nggak ada di sini ya? Pilot, right? When the pilot asks you, for example, everything's smooth, right? And then the pilot says, oh, it's going to be turbulence in a few minutes. Please fasten your seatbelt, right? You've been flying for hours. There's no turbulence. You don't feel anything, right? And you cannot see what's going on in front of the cockpit. You don't know. And suddenly the pilot says, it's going to be turbulence, fasten your seatbelt. If you walk or something like that, go back to your seat, right? You follow it right away. Even though you don't see that, you don't feel it, you follow it, right? So we have a tendency to follow, even though we don't understand. That's what I mean. Allah give us that facility. Allah put in our heart ability to follow an order without understanding it. All right. For example, you're in the room. There's one time I think in Central or something, and there was an alarm. And then the guy comes with the seragam fire brigade, the fireman came to this room and says, please leave the room through the exit, right? And then you see this guy, you don't know him, but he's wearing a fireman uniform, and he order you to go out. You're in the middle of shopping, right? And then you will follow this guy, right? Why? Because you know there's a danger. Even though you don't see the fire, you don't smell the smoke. You will have to follow. Why? Because of the authority, because of the uniform. So we as human have a tendency to follow something even though we don't understand. That's what I mean. So this is samya nawat. So that's why taat, following Allah, is part of the iman. If you believe that this man in the uniform has authority over you and tell you to go out the mall, even though you don't see the smoke, you don't smell the smoke, you don't see the fire, you still go out. Because why? Because you have faith on this fireman. The same thing. If you have faith in Allah and His Messenger, if Rasulullah says, do not do this, do not do that, do not do zina, do not do the pray, and so on and so forth, it must be good for us, right? So the story goes that 6 years after Rasulullah did the hijrah from Makkah to Medina, and one night Rasulullah had a dream. So when Rasulullah had a dream, it is a wahi, it is a revelation from Allah, that Rasulullah had a dream that within his dream he performed umrah. Jadi melakukan umrah gitu. Dan because the dream is a wahi, then Rasulullah ordered the companions and Sahabat to get ready to do umrah. And there's what 1,400 people came out, right? And they get ready to do umrah. When they do umrah, they wear ihram. They wear a special dress to do, which is a completely different to what you wear when you're in a battle, right? You have leather, you have armor, you have sword and everything. But when you do umrah, you just a piece of cloth, not even sewn cloth as well, right? So at the time, the condition that is that you're still in the battle with the Quraysh. Now think about this, right? Rasulullah says, okay, we are right now in the battle of Quraysh. We still fight with them. Let's go to Quraysh. And then don't wear anything. Just wear ihram. Don't bring your sword. Just bring knife, because we want to cut our animal and something. We want to slaughter our animal, right? And this alone is already crazy. Right? This order alone is that, wow, we are still in war, and then we don't bring like people like wearing war or on a battle, but we have to wear something very simple. There is no war attire. There is no, what they bring is just the animal for them to sacrifice, right? Because they want to go umrah, right? And that is what happened. About 1,400 companions ready to do this, even though it doesn't make sense. We're in a battle to them. Now we go to their camp without wearing anything, right? It's actually a suicide, right? So then they walk for days and days and days until they arrive in the city of Hudaybiyah. City of Hudaybiyah is the cities outside of Makkah, right? So they camp there outside of Makkah. So they built the camping, and this is where the camel of Rasulullah stopped. So I think there's a sign from Allah that they should stop here. So Rasulullah stopped there, and then the people of Makkah, when they heard that the people come from Medina, they stopped them, right? That's, you cannot go to Umrah, right? And this is something that they will never do. They have a habit of hundreds of years. Anyone outside of Makkah, if they want to go to Makkah to perform Umrah, they will allow them, even though they're in war with them. So this is something that they will do out of the customary, right? And for this time, because they're still enemy to the Muslim, they stop them. You cannot go outside, go inside Makkah, and you cannot perform the Umrah. And then Suhail bin Amr, and he became radiallahu anhu, he became the companion later, but this time he was not the companion. Dia datang sama Rasulullah dan terjadilah apa yang disebut dengan the agreement of Hudaybiyah. What is the agreement of Hudaybiyah? One of the things is when they made the agreement, Rasulullah said Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and then Suhail said no, say Bismillah, right? We don't believe you, right? Okay, and then after signing it, Ali bin Abi Talib put the name Muhammad Rasulullah, and Suhail said no Rasulullah, just say Muhammad, right? And I think you heard this story, right? Ali bin Abi Talib said, and he asked Ali because he is the scribe for Rasulullah. And he asked Ali, remove the word Rasulullah because I don't accept him as a Rasul, as a prophet, as a messenger. And Ali says, no, I will not rub it off. And Rasulullah says, Ali, please rub it off. No, I will not rub it off. So this is the act of rejection, but at the same time, the act of faith, right? He rejected the order of Rasulullah to wipe or to remove the word Rasulullah, right? So this is like a what do you call that? It's a conflict, right? He doesn't want to follow the order of Rasulullah to wipe the word Rasulullah, right? So and again Rasulullah says, okay, which one is the word Rasulullah here? Here, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wiped or rubbed that writing himself, right? So not because he didn't believe his Rasulullah, because this is part of the contract, right? So this is the contract of Hudaybiyah. So then what happened after that? After the Hudaybiyah, right? And after the 3 days they're there, and then they're going back to Medina. So think about this. They were promised to do Umrah. They were excited to do Umrah. And then they work days and days and days, right? In normal days, you probably work for 12 days, right? Just to walk from Medina to Makkah. And then they came to Makkah. No, they were not allowed to do Umrah. So you can imagine they're tired, they're angry, they're upset, right? And not only that, the agreement was if someone from Makkah, they come to Medina, right? And then the Muslims should send them back home to Makkah, right? And Rasulullah agreed to that. However, not the other way around. If people from Medina, right, they want to go back to become Shirik, they want to go back to Makkah, then they will have to stay in Makkah, right? So this is the agreement. This agreement actually put Muslims in the lower position. And the companions, the Sahabat were very, very upset because of that. Like, Ya Rasulullah, really, like, we are really the underdog here, right? And not only that, Abu Jandal, which is the son of Suhail, came. He is actually a Muslim. His father was not a Muslim. He was a Muslim. When he knew that Rasulullah came, he was so happy, right? And then he came just right people after signing the contract. And Abu Jandal just came, "Ya Rasulullah, thank you for coming." And then Suhail says, remember our agreement? If someone from Makkah come to you, you have to return it back. And Abu Jandal was so excited to see Rasulullah because he can run away from his family who torturing him now. He's actually being imprisoned by his own father because he embraced Islam. Abu Jandal was so happy, and suddenly he cried and said, okay, Abu Jandal, you have to go back to your parent. Go back to your disbelieving parent. Go back to the parent who's been putting you in prison, right? Abu Jandal, what's the matter here, right? So this is how disappointed everyone, every Sahabat was so disappointed, was so angry to the Prophet. And even Umar radiallahu anhu even say, Ya Rasulullah, aren't you the Prophet? Are we the correct? Are we the right people? Right? Are we upon the Sunnah? Are we upon the path of Allah? Because they were tested to the really to the max. They were tired. They were underestimated. They were thirsty. They was like humiliated and everything. They couldn't believe this. that Rasulullah actually allowed Abu Jandal to be sent back to his own torturing father. They couldn't believe that Rasulullah signed the contract that humiliating them. So they're very upset and very disappointed. Rasulullah SAW, even Umar said this word and he regretted for the rest of his life. Ya Rasulullah, are you the Prophet? This is really, the word is so harsh. You can imagine kecewanya mereka sampai mengeluarkan kalimat seperti itu. Kemudian, whatever Rasulullah said at the time, the companions ignore it. Subhanallah. Can you imagine that? This is the act of kufr. So, what did Rasulullah say? Right? Rasulullah say, okay, all my companions, go back to Makkah. And Rasulullah had to say it 3 times, and none of them actually listened to this. Right? And Rasulullah felt so disappointed. And Rasulullah went back to his tent. Then one of our mothers, Salamah, told the Prophet, what's happening? What's going on? And Rasulullah says, my ummah, my nation, destroy themselves. Right? So they didn't listen to me. And Salamah, being a very wise wife, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, just ignore them. You just come out, slaughter your animal, cut your hair. Just do it yourself. You don't ask anyone to do this. Just do it yourself. And that Rasulullah did. Rasulullah went out and slaughtered the animal and cut the hair. And the companions, every single one of them, when they saw Rasulullah did this, if they follow exactly the same thing as well. They cut their own animals, and then when they're doing that, the tears coming down. So they feel like it's really a touching moment. Inshallah, when we all in Jannah, inshallah, I will ask Allah, Ya Allah, can you give me the video footage of this event? I will ask Allah. If inshallah we are in Jannah, I want to see how serious, how tense the situation was. That never before the companions of the Prophet ignore the Prophet. Never before. This is like everything is in one go, like tired, frustrated, hungry, humiliated, everything. And then also heard that Uthman bin Affan was murdered as well. So everything is mixed. And there right in front of them, Rasulullah SAW signed a contract that humiliating to them right in front of their eyes. They could not accept that. Why Rasulullah would do this? They cannot accept that. Right? And then when they realize Rasulullah start doing this, they feel love to Rasulullah again. They follow and they cry. Right? And that night, that following day, right, Umar bin Khattab went to Rasulullah SAW and he thought, Ya Rasulullah, and Rasulullah did not reply to that. Right? Rasulullah did not reply. And then let's say Umar says, oh my goodness, I'm done. I'm done. Right? So Rasulullah did not reply. And then finally Rasulullah SAW mentioned, the verse has been revealed, which is, anyone knows which surah? Anyone can guess which surah? Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. Surah Fatah. Rasulullah was informed by Allah, indeed, you just achieved the biggest victory. And the companion says, what victory? What victory? I walked this for days with this shirt, right? And we're so tired and we cannot do Umrah and what victory? Right? They cannot think of the word victory. Right? But this is what amazing thing is. What is the victory here? Right? Inna fatahna laka fathal mubin. Allah says, I give you laka for you, you male. That means Rasulullah. I give you, your Prophet, or Muhammad SAW, the biggest victory. What is the biggest victory? The biggest victory is not because you plan to do Umrah, you got the Umrah. You plan to do Haji, and you got the Haji. That's not the victory. The victory is not that you got humiliated by the Makkah. You got humiliated by the Makkah people. The victory is you are suffering, that you are hungry, that you are upset, that you are almost went crazy. You're being humiliated. The victory is in the midst of all this feeling, they still follow Rasulullah SAW. That is the biggest victory. Not because you conquer piece of land, not because you conquer Makkah, not because you kill your enemy, not because of all the worldly gain. You have victory because your companions, even though they're sad, even though they're tense, even though they're angry, but they still follow you, O Prophet Muhammad SAW. That is the victory, right? So, just to wrap up, right? What is Hudaybiyah? Hudaybiyah is the agreement that from an outset, it is something that is not in favor of the Muslim. It's actually sounds like a very bad contract, but Allah has a different plan, right? Not everything you have to understand, because Allah is the wisdom. Has all the wisdom. We know the pixel, Allah knows the picture. So at the end, just to cut the story short, at the end, because of this agreement of Hudaybiyah, at the end, people will have, they disagree with the Makkah at that time. They see the Makkah was not really something that they can respect. And one by one, every single tribe around the Makkah, around the in Arabian Peninsula, they all one by one embrace Islam because of this agreement of Hudaybiyah. This is something unprecedented. The companions will never know about this until finally the Makkah is conquered. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So we end this note, right? I just quoted someone by the name of Wolfgang Goethe. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's a scientist from Germany. He wrote in his book, this is a non-Muslim. He said he is a prophet, not a poem. Then because of that, the Quran can be seen as a book from God, not created by human, right? And is not for the purpose of education, right? So again, there's someone who's a non-Muslim at that time, but he study and is honest and he study about the story of the Prophet. He can say words like this, like, this book is not from human. This book, because it cannot be from human. It cannot bring a result what Prophet Muhammad SAW did. To that level, I end our class today. So we have talked about 13 and 14. So inshallah, we cover 15 for the next round. Because I'm the MC, so I will go and ask around whether anyone has a question. You're still eating, mashallah. Okay, anyone has comment, query, question? Mas Hasan, ada pertanyaan?
I'm good. I think I have
Oke,
answered.
kalau gitu saya